herbalist, I felt called to come here, study the plants, be with the people, get to know people, learn what I can, and contribute whatever I can.
Can you share a little bit about that link between herbalism and food and resistance?
I mean, you have to eat food every day. One of the ways in which people are controlled and disempowered is first and foremost through their food source. Colonially, you see, imperial powers as they travel from place to place and dominate, spaces. Oftentimes, one of the first things they'll do is they'll burn people's fields. They'll destroy whatever their sacred or dependable crop is for sustaining and maintaining their lifestyle. And then they'll find a way to convince people or force people into the production of something that serves the interests of the powers that be. And oftentimes it comes back to food. People will be changing from growing things or cultivating things or wildcrafting things that are completely nutrient dense, super delicious, and thrive in this particular environment or any environment that you might be looking at in the same way, and will be opting for something that may be less productive or less beneficial to the people and is better for exporting but might do well in that environment. And so it displaces and disconnects people with their land via the food. So this is really, a really traumatizing thing for people to experience, having their food taken away from them. You have to sustain yourself on a daily basis, and when the food that you are provided is something that has been, even if it is organic, that's for most of the people who are purchasing food in the supermarket, it's beyond their buying capacity to purchase something that's organic. But even if it is, it's been traveling for several weeks, it's not fresh food, and literally you can just grab something off of a tree in your backyard, but the consciousness is being disconnected. So for me, herbalism and working with plant medicine and working with food, looking at food and herbal medicine as a form of resistance, it's really about connecting people with the land and empowering them to grow their own food, something that is way more nutritious, way more interesting, connects with their native spirit. We're all natives. We're all here from this planet. We're all here from this earth, and we have to celebrate that, and we have to stay connected to that, and understanding whatever environment you're in, and the history behind it, and watching the plants that come on their own, the plants that volunteer themselves, the plants that thrive really well. I think for me, being here in Puerto Rico, it's about studying those plants specifically and fostering a relationship with those plants that trees and fruits that seem foreign, or maybe they're something that you remember your auntie eating or talking about her mom eating, but you may not yourself be enjoying that or know how to prepare it or know how to wildcraft it on your own. So for me, it's a learning process of getting to know this terrain, getting to know the people, finding ways to support that process. And also, as an herbalist, I like to make things. So I like making things that are also practical and accessible, focus on direct health conditions and health needs that are relating to our current culture.
So I know that you have a very dynamic lifestyle and you have a lot of projects and objectives, but if you can you share what a day in your life might be like? Just a general day, and kind of give us a little glimpse into your workload and the actual, the practical aspects of your job and the work that you've come here to do.
Sure. Oftentimes I'm traveling between the different islands. I live in Vieques, which is a smaller island off of the main island of Puerto Rico. So, I work with farmers there. I also work with farmers here on the island. I work in San Juan with El Departamento de la Comida, which is a amazing and powerful site of resistance around food and social justice, food justice. So I might be traveling and connecting with farmers, might be doing educational activities, giving workshops, giving classes, just meeting with farmers, lending a hand on the property, checking out, whatever amazing produce and crops and plants that people have available they want to share. And then I usually either bring things home or find a site where close to wherever I am to make medicines. And I prepare different medicines depending on what clients I might be working with, what workshops I feel are important to be teaching. I taught a workshop recently on bioremediation and thinking really about how plants heal the soil and how plants heal our own inner terrain, and how we can start working with these things, especially when we live in places like Vieques, where have a really high incidence of cancer, or even in Puerto Rico in general, where diabetes and cancer are really, really high, very disproportionate to other places. So, being conscious of what's actually really happening, I see, okay, this is a need. What can I do for this? So I'll choose plants based on folk traditions from here, wisdom, and also, science and my own training from my own teachers, and apply them to this environment, prepare things to sell in stores. So you might see me actually making alcohol and using, wildcrafting plants and putting them into alcohol and tincturing them, blending things together, making different oils and food goods, things that might be easier for people to digest, say if they have cancer and they're not able to, take a certain form of medicine. So it can look like a lot of different things, but it's always, for me, it's always connecting with people, connecting with the land, and connecting with this art and this craft of making medicine.
And the last question that I have for you is, what is your dream for the people of Puerto Rico and the world?
I mean, I think my dream is just that people can find a way back to this, Garden of Eden, this paradise that people cross-culturally feel like they were promised in some way. A world that people have a remembrance of, but feel like they don't have access to. And I think that really comes from, filling our urban areas, our cities, with plants that are cleaning the air, cleaning the water, thinking about our resources in a different way, growing our own food in our homes, living in a more sustainable way, getting hydroponic systems going, using, indigenous or using like non-GMO seeds and things that are local to wherever you're living, and just having things flourish and, being able to enjoy flourishing with the world around us. That's my hope, and I think that it's a long journey in the perception of a human life, but I see it happening, and I'm excited to be a part of it, and I trust that it's going in a good way.
Thank you. Gracias.
Gracias.